Hold it!
The neighborhood of Charlestown, Boston, is known for its high number of bank robberies throughout the year. 4 lifelong friends are particularly skilled at it: Doug, Jem, Glonsey, and Des. Doug is the brain behind their operations, and he briefs the other 3 with detailed plans they must memorize perfectly before each job. During one heist, when a guard enters the bank carrying a money bag, the crew seizes the opportunity. They push him inside and immediately take control of the situation. Everyone is thrown to the ground, their cell phones are confiscated, and the thieves empty the cashier station before forcing the bank manager, Claire Kesey, to open the vault. After collecting the money, they destroy the security camera footage by placing the hard drives in a microwave. Then they pour bleach all over the area to eliminate any possible DNA evidence. Unbeknownst to them, Claire is pressing a silent alarm with her foot. When they finally notice, Jem assaults the assistant manager, assuming he triggered the alarm. In the chaos, Claire sees Jem's neck tattoo. Realizing the police are closing in, Jem makes a reckless decision. They take Claire as a hostage, something they have never done before. They blindfold her and, once far enough from the scene, release her at the beach. The crime scene is soon taken over by the FBI, with Special Agent Adam Frawley in charge. He immediately notices the thieves have covered every detail and left no trace, confirming they are professionals. The getaway van is later found burned, and no one in the neighborhood is willing to talk. The next day, Frawley interrogates Claire. She tells him what little she knows but omits the tattoo detail, fearing for her life, as the thieves had threatened her. Meanwhile, the 4 thieves argue about Jem's mistake in taking a hostage. When Jem arrives, he brings worse news. He found Claire's ID and realized she lives in their neighborhood. He suggests keeping an eye on her to ensure she stays quiet. Doug steps in and says he'll handle it instead, claiming it's because Jem can't afford another prison sentence. In truth, Doug no longer trusts Jem's unstable behavior. Doug and Jem visit their usual contacts to make payments: their gun dealer, car dealer, and Fergie, an Irish mobster who uses a flower shop as a front. Later, they spend the evening drinking, gambling, and using drugs with call girls. That night, while at a bar, they are approached by Chris, Jem's sister and a single mother who used to date Doug. She says she misses him, but Doug wants nothing to do with her and leaves. However, that night, Chris lets herself into Doug's place with an old key and seduces him. The next day, Doug begins following Claire. He enters the laundromat after her and finds her crying over bloodstains on her shirt. Seizing the moment, he pretends to comfort her. To cheer her up, he takes her out for a drink. They bond, although Doug lies about his life, claiming he works in construction and his father lives in the suburbs, when in fact he's in prison. He even takes her on a boat ride, breaking into someone else's boat just for the occasion. When Claire brings up the number of bank robbers in Charlestown, Doug brushes it off, saying the stories are exaggerated. Later, Doug tells Jem that Claire is under control and doesn't need to be killed. Meanwhile, Frawley interrogates a criminal associate and gets a lead. This crew knows how to work the box, a skill that can only be learned at Vericom, a cash handling company. He orders his team to pull employee records. During another lunch with Claire, Frawley tries to flirt, but she mentions she is sort of seeing someone. Doug and Claire continue dating, though Doug hides it from the rest of the gang. They open up to each other. Claire admits she's working with the FBI but hasn't told them about the tattoo. Doug suggests she keep it as a card to play later, potentially avoiding witness protection. Doug shares that his mother abandoned him at age 6, and his father never tried to find her. One day, Claire complains that she must take a longer route to work to avoid local gang members who harass her. After dropping her off, Doug picks up Jem, and they go to intimidate the gang. Doug roughs them up and plants drugs to scare them away, but Jem gets carried away, shooting one of them in the leg and revealing his face. Doug is increasingly disturbed by Jem's violent tendencies. Meanwhile, Frawley finds Des's file and notes that his sick days align with several robberies. This leads the FBI to the gang's identities, though they still lack hard evidence. Surveillance is ordered. During a sunny lunch, Claire tells Doug the weather reminds her of the day her brother died. While she's away at the restroom, Jem appears. Doug tries to make him leave before Claire returns, but it's too late. Jem recognizes her, but plays along. Doug quickly covers Jem's tattoo with his hand as he says goodbye, trying to hide the connection. Later, Jem confronts Doug, furious that he is sleeping with the one person who could bring them down. Doug insists on finding new partners for the next job, as he doesn't trust the ones they're supposed to work with. Jem refuses and pushes for the plan to go forward. Doug agrees on one condition: it will be his last job. Before the job, Doug visits his father in prison to say goodbye and asks why he never looked for his mother. His father says there's no point chasing someone who doesn't want to be a parent. On the day of the heist, they prepare carefully, planting hair as fake evidence, scrubbing with bleach, and cleaning their gear. They follow an armored truck and strike when it stops. Everything goes according to plan until a guard fights back. They kill him, flee the scene, and lead the police on a dangerous chase. Glonzy pulls off several risky maneuvers, crashing police cars and switching vehicles twice. They set the first car on fire, blocking the way. Frawley orders the bridges closed, but it's too late. The gang crosses before the blockade is in place. While switching cars again, they are briefly spotted by a nearby officer, who chooses not to act. Though Frawley still lacks solid evidence, he wants to confront them. He brings all four in for questioning and has them read lines used during the robbery. Jem stays silent and demands a lawyer. Doug, knowing they have no proof, mocks the FBI by saying everyone in Charlestown knows what their antennas look like and that they were always aware of being followed. Frawley's next move is to try and get more clues from Claire, but when he calls the bank, he discovers that she has quit. Now suspicious of her, he orders his men to tap her phone, and soon learns she's been in contact with Doug the entire time. Doug also finds out that Claire has quit when he meets her to give her a diamond necklace. He seizes the opportunity to ask her to leave town with him, and she agrees. However, after their date, Claire is visited by Frawley, who notices the necklace before revealing Doug's criminal profile and telling her the truth. Meanwhile, Doug meets with Jem, who has a new job lined up from Fergie. Doug turns it down, saying he's done with the life and tells Jem to find someone else. This angers Jem, who accuses Doug of abandoning Chris and her baby. Doug reminds him that no one knows who the father is, and while he's grateful Jem's family took him in, they were never going to live happily ever after like a family. Jem brings up that he once killed someone to protect Doug and served 9 years in prison for it, but Doug is unmoved and still refuses the job. Doug then goes to Fergie to inform him directly that he won't be doing the job. Fergie won't accept this, claiming Doug is the brains of the crew and the only one he wants. He reveals something devastating. Doug's father once tried to go solo too, and in retaliation, Fergie hooked Doug's mother on drugs. She never left, she died of overdoses, and Doug has been lied to all along. Fergie threatens to do the same to Claire if Doug refuses the job. Panicked, Doug rushes to Claire's apartment to check if she's okay, but she kicks him out and refuses to let him explain or apologize. From that point on, Doug keeps an eye on her place and sees one of Fergie's thugs hang a funeral wreath on her door. Doug tears it down and realizes he has no choice but to take the job. After visiting Chris to tell her that he'll be gone after this final heist, Doug approaches Claire again and promises that he'll never hurt her. He tells her that while he's robbed many banks, he has never killed anyone. He then asks her to wait for him until he comes back. The gang gathers to hear Fergie's plan. He has inside information about robbing Fenway Park the morning after a major game, when the safes will be full. While they review the details, Frawley approaches Chris at a bar, suspecting she might be the weak link. After fake flirting with her, he shows his badge and implies that he knows she's been working as a mule for Fergie. When Chris asks for a lawyer, he sows doubt by pointing out that, even after all the years she spent with Doug, he never bought her a diamond necklace. Feeling spurned, Chris gives Frawley a fake lead. On the day of the heist, he and his team follow the wrong truck. Meanwhile, Chris visits Doug, asking him to take her with him for a new life. Doug refuses and tells her he's leaving with someone else. Frawley later finds Chris in the hospital after a DUI crash. Promising protection for her and her child, he finally gets her to open up. She gives him the real target, Fenway Park. The operation begins. Des uses his electrician background to disable alarms and cameras, while Doug and Jem, disguised as cops, are let into the stadium by Fergie's contact. When they encounter employees and guards, their cop routine doesn't work, and they're forced to pull their guns. They tie everyone up and move to the cash room, threatening the employees by saying they have men stationed outside their homes who will kill their families. Doug and Jem gain access. They stuff their bags full of money and head to the parking lot, where Glonzy and Des wait with an ambulance. The FBI is already closing in. As soon as Jem sees agents sneaking in, He opens fire, starting a shootout. Glownsy is shot but survives, thanks to his bulletproof vest. While the others keep firing, Des circles back and opens the exit door so they can push the getaway truck out. Doug tells Des that, unlike the rest of them, he doesn't have a criminal record. If caught, he'd only face 7 years, and none of them would blame him for walking away. Des, however, is offended and refuses, shouting back angrily before staying. The FBI throws in stun grenades, disorienting the thieves. As special agents breach the building, they immediately shoot Des when he stands. Glownsy then comes up with a final plan. He'll drive out in the ambulance to draw attention while Doug and Jem change into their cop disguises and walk out unnoticed. Doug is concerned for Glownsy safety, but Glownsy insists he's a great driver and can handle it. The ambulance exits without issue at first. But when agents realize they can't stop it by shooting the tires, a sniper takes the shot, killing Glownsy instantly with a headshot. The FBI believes the gang is in the ambulance and focuses their attention on it. Meanwhile, Doug and Jem blend in with real officers and escape. However, it doesn't last long. Once the tied-up employees inform the FBI they were ambushed by police, Frawley begins searching for anyone acting suspicious. He quickly spots Jem moving fast with a duffel bag and follows him to a parking lot. When Frawley calls out his name, Jem opens fire. Surrounded by law enforcement and wounded in the leg, Jem takes cover behind a mailbox, but soon realizes he's out of ammo. Rather than go back to prison, he steps into the open, guns in hand, and is immediately shot down by agents. Doug, watching from across the street, escapes in the chaos by stealing a police car. He heads straight to the flower shop and kills Fergie and his thug, surviving thanks to his vest. Afterward, Doug retrieves the cash he had stashed earlier and calls Claire. She's with the FBI, who are listening in on the call. She invites him over, pretending to be alone. But Doug, watching from a neighboring building, knows it's a trap. He agrees to come anyway and asks her to meet him at the back door in an hour. Before leaving, he apologizes again. Claire subtly warns him by mentioning sunny days, a phrase they used before. Doug understands the message and plays along. While the FBI waits in vain, Doug leaves the city by train, wearing an MBTA uniform. He hides some money in Claire's garden and leaves a note on Frawley's car, mocking him. Though Frawley suspects Claire's sunny days phrase was a coded warning, it's too ambiguous to use against her, and she avoids prosecution. Days later, Claire discovers the money and the note Doug left for her, saying that maybe one day, they'll see each other again. She chooses to donate the money to renovate the local ice hockey arena, in memory of Doug's mother, where Doug once played as a child. If you enjoyed this recap, be sure to subscribe, turn on notifications, and leave a like to support the channel. Thanks for watching.